In today's lesson, we are going to talk about multiplying fractions. Now, there's really just a few simple steps that you need to remember, and they're super easy. First thing you want to do is multiply your numerators, just straight across. Then do the same thing for the denominators, straight across. And as always, don't forget to simplify your fractions. That's really important. Always simplify. Now we're going to take two fractions and we're going to multiply them together. So 4 over 5 times 7 over 9. So what did we say we had to do? Multiply straight across. Numerators, denominators, 4 times 7, 5 times 9. What do we get? Well, when we multiply straight across, we get 28 over 45. And as always, don't forget to simplify. Now, if you look at that one, you check your divisibility rules. We don't have a number that will actually divide into both the numerator and the denominator. And so this one's already simplified. So let's check another more interesting one. Negative 3 over 4 times 8 over 11. Now remember, we always have to look at our signs. Negative times a positive always gives us a negative. Sometimes we tend to want to drop those off, so don't forget to check for that. So let's multiply straight across. And notice we have our negative out front. 3 times 8 is 24. 4 times 11 is 44. Now again, use your divisibility rules to help you to simplify. So when we look at these two numbers, we can see that they are both divisible by 4. So we divide the top by 4, we divide the bottom by 4, we get negative 6 over 11. Sometimes you're going to see a whole number times a mixed number, and your brain's going to want to do a little trick, and it's going to want to say 2 times 3 equals 6, and then you have 6.5. But see this little symbol here that's in red? It says that is not correct. Does not equal 2. So you cannot simply take the 2 and multiply it by the 3. So what we need to remember is that multiplication is repeated addition. We've talked about that before. So you notice that 2 times 3.5 is actually the same as 3.5 plus 3.5. And 3.5 plus 3.5 is 7, not 6.5. So just be really careful about that. So another way that you can actually look at this is to change the mixed number into an improper fraction. So the first thing we want to realize is that a whole number can be made into a fraction. It's always over 1. You just don't see it. It's understood to be there. But now we're going to go ahead and write it just so we remember what we have to multiply. So we get 2 over 1. Remember to change a mixed number into an improper fraction. We take 2 times 3 and then we add 1. So 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. We put it over 2 and now we get to multiply. So how do we multiply? Straight across. So 2 times 7 is 14. 1 times 2 is 2. Then of course, as always, simplify. And 14 divided by 2 gives us 7. And you're done. Well, what if you have two mixed numbers? Well, the easiest thing for you to do is to change the mixed numbers into improper fractions and then follow those 3 simple steps. So if we change each of these, 4 times 3 is 12 plus 1 is 13, so 13 over 3. And then 2 times 5 is 10 plus 2 is 12. So we're going to multiply straight across. 13 times 12 is 156, and 3 times 5 is 15. Now again, we want to simplify. So we use our divisibility rules, and we find that the top is divisible by 3, and the bottom is divisible by 3. And if we do that division, we find that we get 52 over 5. Now you can leave it as 52 over 5, that's fine, or you can change it into a mixed number, which is 10 and 2/5. So here we have, multiply these two mixed numbers, we get 10 and 2/5. So now let's look at a little word problem. Sarah has some money in her pocket and she wants to go to the mall and go shopping. So she spends 3/5 of her $11.50. So how much did she spend shopping? Well, 11.5 is the same thing as saying $11.50 because half a dollar is 50 cents. So we would need to look at the important information in the question. There's a whole bunch of words there, but let's pick out the important parts. What we really want to look at is 3/5 of 11.5. So we can put that together actually in a sentence, and you see this word of, which is a really important word, that always means to multiply. So we're going to change that to a multiplication, and now we have a problem that looks just like the other questions we did. So we have a 3/5 times 11.5. So what's the first thing we want to do? Change the mixed number to an improper fraction. So how do we do that? 11 times 2 is 22, plus 1 is 23. All right, so 3/5 times 23 over 2, how do we multiply? We multiply straight across. And 3 times 23 is 69, 2 times 5 is 10, and of course, simplify if possible. Now 69 over 10 does not simplify because if you remember your divisibility rules, 69 is not divisible by 10. So we could leave it like this, or we could change it to a mixed number, which in this case would be 6 and 9/10. Now that, as we will learn about decimals and what that means, is actually the same thing as saying $6.90. And that's your lesson on multiplying fractions.